Hello, hello, and welcome to Genealogy Quick Start Live special edition at the PaGE 2023, which is the Pennsylvania Genealogy Event. How are you? We are so excited to have you here today. It was actually hat day at PaGE, so I figured I would keep my hat on. We're having so much fun at this conference, and today we are going to do something that is near and dear to all of our hearts, especially the page. Let me tell you about the pagers, okay? At this event, we're allowed to put in polls and ask people, how comfortable are you with maps? How often do you use maps for your research? This is absolutely the first time that at least 60% of the people said either they map like a boss or they use maps all the time. This must be something special for Pennsylvania researchers. Usually we encounter map fear, but we don't have any map fear today. And we are so excited to be able to share maps with you today in our quick start called Mapping Your Peeps. So let me bring on my favorite quick starters, my regular columnist and editor James M. Beidler.
I put my hat back on too.
I'm glad you did. And genealogy tip of the day, Michael John. Now, Michael, are you looking for a hat, or you're like, what the hell is wrong with this too?
I already stopped asking what the hell was wrong with those people a long time ago. I might find a hat here in a minute if I'm lucky. Oh boy.
So, like we do with all of our episodes, I'm sorry I'm choppy here. Kathy, one of our regulars, let me know. I apologize for that. But with what we do on all of our episodes is we ask you to tell us who you are, where you are. We don't have to tell us who we name, where you are, and which genealogy group are you a member of, because there might be others out there who need to be saved. Let's go and get started with our quick start. I'm sorry I'm choppy. Hopefully it gets better. So guys, what's up with maps? Why is Pennsylvania so strong in maps? I found that kind of interesting.
Well, we're a original 13 colony, and so there's a lot of people who trace back to Pennsylvania, and really Pennsylvania was created as an ATM machine for the Penn family, and what brought the cash out was the land. So to sell the land, you need surveys and maps. People talk about Pennsylvania in terms of religious freedom. I'm not saying that's a lie, but most people came for the land. And Penn went on prospecting trips to southwestern Germany. Yeah.
So how did your love of maps begin?
Well, it's a way of organizing information geographically, and I've got people from other areas besides Pennsylvania where changing boundaries, which also happened in Pennsylvania, changing boundaries as people settle more of the state or more of the area. It's important to know where those boundaries are at any given point in time to help you locate the records. Older maps are also a good way to find out about locations that no longer exist or to get variant names for things as well. And so there's a variety of reasons why older maps can be helpful and useful to the genealogist.
So my love of maps started when I was a kid. You guys remember AAA used to have those triptychs, right?
Yeah.
And so when we would take our summer trips, I had on vacation. My parents had their vacation, and then we had a group vacation. And so on the group vacation, when we got those little packets, oh my God, it was like I understood the world, right? So before we get started, we at this conference, Jim, I think I counted like 10 special guest alum are at PaGE conference this week. So we asked to see if any were available, and we do have one, and that's Dean Henry. Let's bring Dean Henry on. How are you today, Dean?
I'm good, guys. Glad to be here.
How are you enjoying PaGE?
I'm enjoying it a lot. As I explained a little bit earlier, I've got an out-of-town guest from LA, and also babysitting 2 full days of the conference. I'm just so glad that the app allows you to go back and watch stuff later because there's so much to see.
It's absolutely like way too much to see. I'm absolutely exhausted, and I'm not even trying to see it all. But next time we do this, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to take days off. You know how like when I go and I fly down south for Institute taking off, I need to do the same thing while I'm home because it's insane.
Yep.
Alrighty, so Dean, are you a map lover? Do you have any favorite maps? Do you use it a lot for your genealogy?
You know, in prep for this, I had to think about it because on occasion I use maps when I'm not like a boss, like you're saying, a map boss. I I did love the AAA maps way back in the day, but and my wife is really into the big atlas things. But I'm a techie guy, so I'd have to say I really like more looking at things like Google Earth and being able to zoom and go down. That's not good for the past, but it's pretty good for now, being able to see things in perspective.
It is. It is. I love Google Earth, and it can take you back in time too. So lots of good things you can do with it. So Dean, thank you so much for taking time and joining us. And I believe you will be with us on the Daily Live tomorrow.
Yes, I will.
Cool.
All righty. Thank you so much. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our quick start for, where is it? It's coming. Mapping your peeps. All right, let's do step 1, which is to, my computer's super slow. Sorry. Step 1 is to learn about maps. So how do you learn about maps? I know for me that I took a course. I took a course at the Institute of Genealogy and Historical Research, and it was a week-long course. And that's where like I really, really got into maps. How do you guys suggest you learn about maps?
Well, I kind of learned about them, just about from the cradle because I just was always interested in them. But I would say you want to look at a variety of maps, road maps, political maps, territorial maps, and what do the symbols mean and all that as a way of starting out. Obviously not necessarily relating to genealogy, but just to maps in general.
I would add that local plat maps that show property lines and ownerships are, if you've got ancestors that were
You
farmers
guys are
or
like on
rural.
step 3. Can we back up about this learning map? So take a course or something. Let's now move on to step 2. So learn about maps. And then what you do is you want to do the crosshairs, select place and time. Yes, select a place and time. And that's easy. Of course, you want to do, like, sometimes we think too small or too big. So you want to kind of do multiple, like all municipalities from country down to, what's your favorite era to look for maps? I love maps from like Reconstruction and like 1860s, 1870s are kind of my favorite kind of maps.
Well, I'm a German guy, so Germany in the 1700s is my big thing. So
I would say late 19th century is probably my favorite because that's when there's a lot more county plat maps to get that in there, even though we're not talking about that yet. And things of that type. And printing got a little cheaper, a little easier. And there were more of them produced, I think, starting at that point in time too. So it's kind of fun to see the changes in them as well.
Yes, it is nice to see the changes. All right, so first focus on a place and a time. And then you want to move on to step 3, which is to locate maps. Where are some of your favorite places to locate maps?
Well, you could start at just do a Google search is one way to start. Looking for ones that have been digitized. You could look at books.google.com to find some. You could reach out to local historical genealogical societies and local libraries to get an idea. They would be aware of what maps are in existence for their specific area and a location to give you some pointers. Not everything is digitized, so you want to keep that in mind. But those would be some good places to start.
Here at the Pennsylvania's Genealogy Event, there is Sharon Cook McGinnis, who trades as ancestor tracks, who has a great website. Guess what? Ancestortracks.com that has a lot of the Pennsylvania atlases and county township property owners maps, things like that. A great Pennsylvania site.
Yes, yes, yes. And I love my favorite place. If I could only go to one map place in person or digitally, it'll be the Library of Congress. I love their site. And David Rumsey, fantastic site. And for some reason, there's a Philadelphia or Pennsylvania consortium where they have a lot of maps, and they are on like a time, like you can see them based off of a time period. I'm going to share that with you in Hoover when I get a chance. But yeah, lots of cool places. Like Michael said, Google is your friend. All right, let's move on. That was step 3, just locate maps. And then step 4 is to use maps to solve questions. So what kind of questions did you ask and were able to use maps to solve?
I'll go ahead. So we're pausing here for a second. I used topographical maps from the 1930s that had one-room schoolhouses on them. I was lucky enough to find a county atlas that not only had the one-room schools, but it had their boundaries on it. And so when I knew some schools that I had some relatives that moved around a lot because they weren't property owners. And knowing what schools they attended and finding the map with the boundaries then told me in what general area they lived, which I didn't know before. So it was kind of a back end approach to that a little bit. But I knew the school and I used the boundaries, and then I got an idea of where they lived within the county, which I wasn't certain of before.
That's absolutely brilliant, Michael. I have used some of the township property owner maps to fill in gaps in a deed chain. Basically by being able to see the adjoining names, the adjoining property owners' names who might have recorded deeds, and then put that all together with that property owner's name whose deed went unrecorded. But it's kind of the hole in the donut method, that you have all the deeds around it, and then you can fill in that gap in the deed chain.
I love that. Hole in the donut. You're in. All right. So lots of different problems that can be solved with maps. We're going to show you guys some really cool maps in a second, I think. And I'm going to talk to you about creating your own map. Why not? With all this technology today, you can create your own map that shows the important points just for you, specific to your family. And I've learned that your family likes these things more than you telling them. They like to see things graphically. So let's share some of what we have here. You guys have some really cool maps. And let's do this here. Whose interesting document is this?
That's one of mine. That's the one place to get maps that we didn't talk about was the local land records office. This was a survey or a plat that was done in 1803 for a relative of mine in Amherst County, Virginia. And sometimes what they had to do was reestablish the property lines, especially in states that are meets and bounds states, where we have that kind of a survey system going on. There would be surveys to mark the boundaries, and those surveys would be recorded. And this is just one of those surveys for Thomas Sled's 85 85 acres. Some of the neighbors are listed there, kind of written around the property, if you will, but that's a nice meets and bounds map. But the local, if your ancestors were property owners, you want to see if the land deed office that records those has survey plats. There may be some older ones like this. There may be much more recent ones as well that you may be able to. And those are public records. You wouldn't have any problem accessing those.
Nice. I see these a lot in, I'm lucky to have access to insurance ledgers, and they have a lot of these surveys in there, which are absolutely like golden. But the opposite, they're more, they're, business records. But no, this is great. This is fabulous. All right, next one.
This is a historical topographical map for not very well. The house I grew up in is on this map, to be honest with you. But the reason why we're showing it, in addition to showing dots for the homes in this 1930 era, it also has the schools listed there. So there's several of the one-room schoolhouses listed. This map also shows names of some cemeteries. So maps of this era could be another place to get names of cemeteries. It's got a railroad line that is now extinct. So the name of that is on there. If I'd gone up a little bit, it would have had the whole name of the railroad there. So there's several different features you could find on this historical map. And this, if you just search for USGS historical topographical maps, the website will come up, and a lot of them there from the very early 20th century, often that refer to things significantly before that.
I love topo maps, and I think they're probably one of the most underutilized ones because they just look like, weird, and they don't necessarily have people's names on them. They have those geographical features like churches and cemeteries that, especially the cemeteries that might not even exist today. Love this. And whose beautiful map is this?
I think this one is also mine. This one's from a little bit later than this is from 1919 in Dawson County, Nebraska, around the town of Gothenburg. This includes the property that my ancestors homesteaded after they had sold it and left. But again, we've got, I think these are also school boundaries there on this map. And again, it just gives you old features of the time that could give you some clues. It tells you who owned the property at that point in time and where they're located again, which can be helpful. One of the dudes who testified at my ancestors' homestead in 1887 or so is still alive and listed on the plat map in section 12. I believe, yeah.
Wonderful. Love that. We know whose map this is.
Auf Deutsch, it's German. Yeah, this is the map of the German religious confessions pre-World War I. And the more blue an area is, the more Catholic it was, and the more pink or pinkish red that it is, the more Protestant it is. So that gives you an idea and helps you genealogically. If you know what your ancestors' religion was in America, where they most likely came from in Germany.
Love that. And you also had a map that everyone should Google if they don't have it. You showed where, based off of names, you showed that on another episode. Tell us what the name of that map is and what because I don't think we have it here, but it's a really cool one.
We don't have it here, and I don't remember the exact name of it, other than it was trying to give you what are the surname customs around the world.
Surname naming conventions around the world.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that it's not always father's surname, father's surname, father's surname. It may be fathers and mothers. It may be patronymics. It may be the first name is the name that carries on. So lots of different things around the world.
Yes, I love maps. What do we have here?
Well, of course, it's another German map, and this is showing this is showing Kleinstaaterei. And no, I did not just sneeze. Kleinstaaterei means the condition of small states, which is what Germany was before the French Revolution. Very small states, different polities, and therefore different places that you might find archival materials from the pre-1800s era.
Nice, nice. Is there like a a great place to go to get maps for Germany? Is there like a special place or general like everyone else?
You
Google
mean
it.
like the Family Tree Historical Atlas of Germany?
I think
Yes,
you need
there.
to say that.
Yes,
Hold on, I need
there
to tell
is.
you one.
I was going to say, bring up the tag here so people can see who authored that darn thing. Yeah, there it is.
I had it earlier, Jim. Don't act like I didn't. I'm not promoting.
I know you did. I know you did.
I thought
All
that
right,
was
let's
a copyright.
see.
Okay.
Yeah, I got your copyright right here.
All right, moving on, guys. Moving on. Let's see. What do we have here?
It's another German map.
It's
Imagine
another
that.
German map.
This one is of the German state of Hessen, and which is in kind of western central Germany. And today, everything within that white outline is the German Land or state of Hessen. Historically, those different colors represent different smaller states that the people are all considered Hessian. And one of the things that's distinctive about this map is it's prior to 1866 when a bunch of the boundaries changed. And if you see the deep red on the left-hand side that kind of goes up as an arm, that's Hessen-Darmstadt land, that then was ceded to Prussia. And I have a case that was partially solved as far as the village somebody came from, because in 1860, in the U.S. Census, they were supposedly from Hessen-Darmstadt. 1870, they're supposedly from Prussia, and this narrows it down to that small arm of land, about 20
Yes.
villages, instead of the whole of Hessen-Darmstadt that you need to look into.
I love it. Maps are your friend. I love it. Oh, this is my map. So I have like 90% people who don't like non-urban relatives. Like none of my people lived in cities except for this one branch of the family. And because the only place where they have these beautiful, cool looking bird's eye maps, they were mostly commercial and they'll be found in urban areas. And this is one I found at the Library of Congress. And so when we had urban people, I was like, I'm getting me a map, and this is it. This is a bird's eye view. And I like it because it's almost like, you know, the cool maps that we have today where you kind of like walk the land. And I think I zoomed in. So the cool thing about this map is I want you to notice where these arrows are. When my cousin and I went down, we were visiting, we kept noticing on the marriage licenses, it kept saying Griffin, married by Griffin. I Googled the name and found out he was like the original pastor of this church that's sitting here. And let me zoom in. I think I zoomed in. And oops, I did not. And then the other thing that I found out is that the enslaver of the people who were getting married here, they're buried right in the same plot of ground right next to them. And so this map just kind of really, it shows you more than the documents would. I would not have picked up on the fact that they were on the same plot of ground if I was looking at paperwork. So love these bird's eye view. If you have urban ones, go get them. And this is one that any person who is researching the Freedmen's Bureau, which was around in the Reconstruction era in all of the Confederate and border states. And this map helps you to see where their field offices were so that you would know where your ancestors might have went to get assistance. And this is another map that I got at the Library of Congress, and it's showing the Washington, D.C., and it's showing that during the Freedmen's Bureau time, they bought and sold 1-acre lots to freedmen. And here you can see where you can see the names of the freedmen. You can see where the school is kind of in the center there. You can see the church. And most importantly, you can see that DC was crazy. The streets were crazy even back in the 1860s. It was not a new thing. And this is a place that I love to go to. Historic Map Works is a great place to go. I had a friend, I was working on a documentary with her, and she wanted to know where was the Horntown School. In Darby Township, she had heard that the Horn family had created a school for African Americans. So I came here and I did a search and I found an atlas, and this is the map. And this map shows Darby Township, and it shows multiple buildings that could have been school buildings. Well, you have the churches have the crosses on top of them, but here you have in the center, it's a little building that says S.HO, and you see that this is on the land of a J.L. Horn. So we do believe that that is probably where the school was, even though there's another building over here that's actually in Horntown. And so, yeah, this was someone can help her to probably pinpoint where that school was and whose land it actually was on. And I think, oh, and last, create your own map. Because of going to IGHR, I learned how to GPS in cemeteries. And, you know, we had to buy actual transmitters, and this is different than today. You just use your cell phone. You can use Google My Maps and start marking locations where your ancestor were, you can mark where their cemeteries were, and always have them as a reference. And I think that is the last map. Yes. So let's go ahead and look at our steps for mapping your peeps. Not only are you going to find maps, you are going to create maps. So step 1 is to learn about maps. Step 2 is to select a place and time, the crosshairs of genealogy. Step 3 is to locate maps. Step 4 is to use them to solve problems. They're not just pretty. And step 5 is to venture out to create your own map. And I definitely want to share with you one of my favorite maps that you guys should all be looking at, the Family Search Wiki map. So you can click on there and take advantage of what's available to you in the Family Search Wiki. Finally, I would like to say, join us tomorrow night for a game of Family History Feud at 8 o'clock, same time, Eastern, tomorrow night. And so far, Jim and Michael, it looks like it's there's a link where you can sign up to play. And the other thing is, it looks like it is turning out to be a competition against, it's going to be PA Dutch and Amish versus, we don't know yet. But yeah, it's like a whole lot of PA Dutch and Amish who are ready to win Family Feud. So if you guys pagers, sign up if you would like to play. All right, everyone, thank you. So go ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, we go live every other Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We did it, yes, on this Tuesday. We're going to be doing it in 2 Tuesdays from now. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night.
Good night.
Where's my outro music?